Mr. President, Israel welcomes the opportunity to discuss the Security Council's working methods. Today's concept note referenced Article 24 of the UN Charter. It gives this Council a clear responsibility, maintaining international peace and security. This brings me to a fundamental concern. This Council has become politicized and paralyzed by structural dysfunction. I say to the members of this Council, let's get back to basics. Remember your mission, because this Council has lost its way. The clearest example is emergency meetings. This Council has become very good at meeting and very bad at making a difference. An emergency meeting should respond to an immediate threat to international peace and security, not to a political dispute that a member state wants to place before the Council. But that is what we have seen in practice. Over the past 4 years, the Security Council has held roughly 100 meetings focused on Israel. At least 17 of them were emergency meetings, far more than other countries in the region. This Council held an emergency meeting after Israel recognized Somaliland. Some countries outrageously claimed Israel would use that recognition to expel Palestinians from Gaza. That conspiracy theory was unfounded. 8 months later, it remains unfounded. Just last week, we met here. This Council held an emergency meeting on the escalation in the West Bank. It focused on the so-called settler violence, not the rise in Palestinian terrorist attack. These were not emergencies, just opportunities to bash Israel. At the same time, there were no emergency meetings when Jews were murdered in northern Israel or at a bus stop in Jerusalem. So I ask this Council, what are we doing here? How has it become so easy to request an emergency meeting? All a Council member needs to do is send a letter to the presidency asking for one. We have forgotten what a real emergency is. You should consider a simple change. Just raise the bar. An emergency meeting should require maybe 2, 3 Council members, not one to request it. Every request should meet the same 3 tests. Is there an immediate threat to international peace and security? Does it require urgent attention? And what is the Council expected to accomplish? That would help this Council distinguish genuine emergencies from political theater. Mr. President, Israel is not raising this issue simply because we are the subject of so many meetings. This is not only a problem of fairness. This lack of effectiveness has consequences. When the Council spends its time on political theater, it has less time to confront the threats actually driving instability in our region. Take a look at Iran and the network of terrorist proxies. Iran has spent years building and supporting terrorist groups, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and the Houthis in Yemen. They have attacked civilians, fueled conflicts, and undermined regional stability. But in the past 4 years, there have been less than 10 emergency meetings about Iran, only 2 specifically about Hamas holding hostages, and only 1 about the Houthis attacking ships in the Red Sea. Look at Turkey. They emerged as the dominant Hamas hub, where Hamas coordinates terror attacks in Judea and Samaria. Not only that, Turkey occupies 5% of Syria today. You don't hear about that in the Security Council. So I ask this Council, where is your condemnation of Turkey? Where is your designation of Iranian terrorist proxies. Mr. President, Israel wants this Council to be a respected institution again. To do that, it must change its mindset. The success of the Security Council should not be measured by how many meetings it holds or how many statements it issues. It should be measured by whether its actions make a real difference. It should set basic goals it can achieve. Did violence decrease? Did terrorism become harder to carry out? Did the Council help prevent the next escalation? You know, the Council itself tracks efficiency. In 2025, this Council met for 685 hours. But what have those deliberations actually produced? The reality on the ground has not improved, unfortunately. Hamas has not disarmed in Gaza. Shipping is still threatened in the Red Sea and the Strait of Hormuz, all while Iran continues to drive instability in the region. This is precisely why we should judge effectiveness on outcomes, not simply by the number of meetings. This Council can do more to address these threats by adopting 3 principles. First, look at the genuine threats. Emergency sessions should be used during real and immediate threats to international peace and security. Second, address causes, not only consequences. The Council should devote greater attention to the actors, networks, and patterns that drive repeated cycles of violence. And third, measure results. Every meeting should have a purpose, and the Council should be willing to ask whether that purpose was actually achieved. Mr. President, the Security Council was not created to count meetings. It was created to prevent wars. When this Council fails to focus on real security threats, we all pay a heavy price. Thank you.
Of Israel for the statement, and I now give the floor to the